Okay, Randy, you want to change some lives?
I absolutely do. That'd be great.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we're at quarter past the hour, and I think, Randy, I can kick it over to you.
Okay. All right.
Hey,
Thanks,
thanks.
Alan. I'll take it from here. So, hello, everyone. So, my name is Randy Roper. Like most speakers you've probably seen earlier today, they talked about the best practices and UX ideas. And I'll be honest, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm more of a storyteller. I'm here to tell a story, tell my story. And at the end, hopefully, I can influence someone's career or someone's mind when it comes to UX and make some changes in some people's lives. Maybe I can inspire someone. So to go through my journey, again, my name is Randy Roper. I'm a senior UX researcher. I'm at US Bank now, which is one of the top banks in the country, um, here in the United States where I am, and I hold a assistant vice president title, which is just a fancy way of saying that I report to my manager who holds a vice president title. Um, yeah, all jokes aside, I enjoy my role as an AVP and the work that I do at US Bank and my role as the UX researcher. But continue my story. If someone would have told me 5 or 6 years ago that one day I'd be speaking at a UX conference, my response would have been a UX what conference? Because prior to 2017, I'd never heard of UX. I didn't know UX was a thing. And coming from a person who graduated college in 2004, so you're talking about 10 plus years out of undergrad, and that was first time I heard about UX was in 2017, and now here I am in 2023, and I still feel like a novice. But honestly, I feel like I stumbled into UX. I successfully stumbled through my career, and here I am now stumbling to your Convey UX screens. But thank you for having me. Like I said, just to tell how I started my career, how I got started, and you're not gonna believe this, but let me continue on in the slides. So I graduated from the University of South Carolina in 2004. I majored in psychology and I minored in journalism. So fresh out of college, I started in journalism before I started in psychology. Um, Ended up taking a job at UX at not UX, I'm sorry, taking a job at Ozone magazine, which at the time Ozone was one of the biggest hip hop magazines in music. Easily the biggest hip hop magazine in the South, with a monthly circulation and readership that reached hundreds of thousands of readers every month. So back then, my life was different than it is now. Back then, I was interviewing rappers and attending hip hop parties and music video shoots. And Ozone, we also hosted an annual award show that was broadcasted on MTV and MTV Jams. And in my role, I was a premier writer and editor. I also managed a team of writers and photographers and interns, and I interviewed some of the biggest artists in music today, like Kanye West or Drake and DJ Khaled. Um, I also served as the web editor, where I managed the online presence of Ozone magazine. In addition, I managed my own personal blog and website, which all in all made me one of the top hip hop journalists in music. But Ozone is primarily a print publication. And if you're not aware, with the emergence of social media platforms like Twitter or Instagram, which gave everyone a voice and it allowed celebrities and artists a platform that with one tweet they can reach their fan base and talk directly to their fans. So for journalists like me, the journalism industry started to change. So Ozone would soon close its doors, um, which put me on a path of freelancing and various online publications. But ultimately, I left journalism. So I was looking for my next chapter in life. So my journey. So to quote the famous actor Will Smith in the movie Pursuit of Happiness, this part of my life is called riding the bus. Okay, no, it wasn't quite that bad, but it was absolutely an awkward space in my life of trying to figure out what was next for me. I worked for a few dead end jobs. One being a part time real estate agent is a whole nother story to why I chose real estate, but this is where I was at a point in my life, and you can tell from this picture. I'm looking at the house like, what am I doing here? Um, I can tell you exactly what I was doing. So at this time, I was 35 years old. I was trying to make enough money to put food on the table for a family with two children, where while I was trying to figure out my way. At this time, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia. My real estate office was actually in a building called the Atlanta Tech Village, which, if you don't know what the Atlanta Tech Village is, I'll explain. It was a tech hub and an office community with a number of tech startups. And from being around a number of successful tech companies, for example, there's a software company called Calendly, which people use now across the globe to schedule as a scheduling tool. Um, they actually had a small office, about 10-person office that was right next door to my real estate agency in Atlanta Tech Village. So I saw Calendly right under my nose grow from a 10-person staff to what they're considered now to be a tech unicorn. Um, if you don't understand what that means, in 2021, Calendly is now worth reportedly $3 billion. So it was just unbelievable to see them grow to what they are now. But during my time at the Atlanta Tech Village, being around those tech startups, and that's where I decided that I too wanted to be in tech. But that was the problem, because I had no idea how a psych major, former journalist, part-time real estate agent could find a place in tech. So I wanted to find out. I started networking with tech companies, giving them feedback on their apps and softwares. I would set up focus groups, just anything I could do to get my foot into the door with these tech companies. Just trying to find my space. So I would do that in the daytime, as well as selling real estate. But at the end of the day, I would go home and look on job boards like Indeed and Glassdoor, just trying to find my way. Um, See how I can get a role into technology. And then one day, lo and behold, I saw a job posting for a UX designer. Now, at this time, I never heard of UX. I I knew design, I knew graphic design, but I'd never heard of UX design. That was something new to me. So the job description that mentioned a good candidate would be somebody with a psychology background or a journalism background. And I just thought, hey, this sounds like me. So I saw that and my eyes lit up and I applied immediately. Now, I applied to that job, but I never heard back from that company. But the job posting, it piqued my interest in UX. It intrigued me to the point that I started Googling UX designer and trying to figure out exactly what it was about UX and whatever a UX designer was. And I see if I could figure it out. And that led me to stumbling next into General Assembly. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, General Assembly is a tech institution that offers on-demand tech training, certifications, boot camps with a number of fields, from software engineering to data analyst to marketing, and surprisingly, they had UX and UX design. So at the time, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and General Assembly actually had a campus in Atlanta, and they were offering free intro to UX design courses. So as soon as I could, I made my way to General Assembly, and I took a one-night intro to UX class. In this class, which you can say that was my official start to my UX education. And it was during that class that the instructor actually blew my mind, because before that, I only knew of UX design. I never heard anything else. And that night, the instructor, they explained to me that yes, there is UX design, but there's also UX research. Um, and with your psychology background, you're probably better suited for a research. And that blew my mind even more, mainly because until that point in my life, I was out of college, like I said, 13 years. My degree was probably somewhere in storage, just collecting dust. So I had no idea, where my degree was at. But the UX instructor telling me about UX research, it just gave me a reason to dust off my degree and see if I could put it to use. Now, full-time enrollment at General Assembly at this time, it was $16,000. Part-time immerse course was $1,200. At that time, I had neither. So General Assembly for me was not an option to pursue UX, but I was still on a mission to figure out UX and to figure out what I need to do to get my foot into the door. So one day, as I'm wishing and I'm just sitting there, just doing my daily scroll on social media, I saw a friend of mine post a picture at General Assembly, and he was saying that, hey, I just started taking courses at General Assembly, and he was so excited about his new career path. So this is my friend Trey. So I called Trey immediately and I said, Trey. Trey actually used to be a rapper. Like I said, I interviewed a lot of rappers. Trey was one of my rapper buddies. So I'm calling Trey. I mean, Trey, I just saw that you posted about being at General Assembly. I was just there trying to figure out what I need to do. Like Trey, he explained, he's like, hey, yeah, I'm taking classes at General Assembly now. I have a buddy, James, and James got into design about 3 years ago. Said James said it changed his life and he encouraged me to do the same. And I was excited. I was like, really? I was like, Trey, could you possibly put me in contact with James? You think he would help me figure out this new thing called UX to me? Um, and it's funny again, and I'm not making this story up at all. Trey told me, hey, he's like, hey, yeah, James actually used to be a rapper. His rap name was Homeboy, and he probably remembers you. And so next thing you know, I'm on the phone with James. And James is like Trey said, he's like, hey, Randy Roper, oh, man, yeah, I do remember you. You probably interviewed me a few years back. I'm not a rapper anymore. I'm in the UX design. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. I'm a lead UX designer. I would love to help you. I would love to be your mentor, help you figure out UX and anything I can do to help you get into it. Like, come to my house next week and we'll go from there. So just like that, in the next week, I'm at James's house. He's at the island in his kitchen working from home. So this is before working from home became a thing. So to me, that was a big deal. Like, wow, this guy is actually in the living room, in his kitchen working from home. And I sat there with James, and I told James my journey of how I was into psychology. I was a journalist, the Atlanta Tech Village stories, everything I told James. And he took everything that I said to him. He said, you've been doing UX your whole life. You just don't know it yet. But don't worry, I'll teach you the business, the process, the methods, the tools, and help you along the way. So from that day, James officially became my mentor. Now, The Karate Kid. For anyone that doesn't know, The Karate Kid was a hit movie back in the 80s. This kid, Daniel, he was getting bullied in school, in the neighborhood. So he wanted to learn how to protect himself. So he went to Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi was able to teach karate. As the story goes, Daniel was in a rush to learn karate. Mr. Miyagi was in no rush to teach him. But Daniel asked Mr. Miyagi, I'm doing everything. I'm here with you all the time. When am I going to learn how to punch? And that's exactly how I felt. I felt like I was going to see James. I was learning, but I was somewhat impatient. I would say that I was ready to apply for jobs. James said, no, you don't know the field well enough. There's a lot to it. You have to be patient. So I followed James' lead. He introduced me to the world of UX. So I took my time under his mentorship. Now, this word cloud basically has everything on it that I learned from working with James, just being under his mentorship. He taught me how to research. He also taught me how to design. We touched on coding. We whiteboarded. We went through research methods. I got to the point I started working in freelancing on projects along with him. I learned Sketch and Adobe UX and InVision, SurveyMonkey for surveying, how to synthesize data. Started understanding better about qualitative versus quantitative research. But he worked, like I said, from home 2 or 3 days a week. So during that time I spent with him, just over the next year, next thing you know, it's a year and a half. I worked right alongside him at his home. He taught me everything UX. And as we're working, James says one day, he's like, the only thing you need at this point now is a certification and a portfolio, and you'll be ready for corporate. So I saved up that $1,200, went back to General Assembly. I took a 12 months EMOS course that really it lasted about 16 weeks, really, for me to get all the information I needed. 16 weeks. Soon after, I worked and finished my portfolio. Before I knew it, I started putting out my resume. So from here, really began my UX journey on the corporate level. Within weeks of putting out my resume, I started interviewing and eventually landed my first corporate UX role at Ronstar Technology. So people that don't know Ronstar, that's a big staffing company, international staffing agency. And they hired me, they recruited me to work directly within Ronstar. And I worked on a Ronstar software that all the recruiters across the globe that use the same software to be able to work and recruit other candidates just like me. So actually, the team that interviewed me and hired me, I was actually doing UX research on them to figure out the pain points that they had with their Randstad software. So a very interesting project to be working on. But I learned a lot over there at Randstad. I did a lot of qualitative work, a lot of interviewing, a lot of field work. And from there, the project launched. And basically, my role at Randstad ended, and I was moved from Randstad over to UPS, where I worked on other UX projects, but it's mostly quantitative. A lot of US surveys, user Zoom surveys, heat maps, information architecture. I spent about 11 months at UPS by this time, and I learned a lot of different things, a lot of other UX methods. I had all kind of experience now working from Randstad, working from UPS. I did a lot of qual work, a lot of quant work. At this point, I'm considering myself a mixed method UX researcher. So Randstad and UPS, they led me to where I'm at now at US Bank. So at US Bank, I've been there for going on about 2 years now, and I work with a team of 50 researchers. It's an amazing team, a great organization. And again, I started as a journalist, a hip hop journalist at that. That's my story. That's my background. I mean, we all have a story. I've met numerous colleagues that started as, whether it's journalists or in advertising or marketing, school teachers, librarians, architects, you name it. And that's the beautiful thing about UX research. You know, as long as you have empathy, I believe you can learn methods, you can learn the tools and be successful in this field. And that's another part of my journey as well too. So I have 8 tips to transition into UX. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's not too late to make a change. Like I said, I made my change when I was 35. So that's why I'm here. I'm someone who successfully transitioned into tech. And I'm here with a few tips that I use to get into tech, and these tips I share with others to get into the field. Because the thing I remember, I asked James when he was mentoring me, I asked him, you know, what do I need to pay you or give you? What do I owe you for helping me get into UX? And he told me, he's like, look, you don't owe me anything. Just when you get into the field, when you get the opportunity, be open and willing to mentor others, help others the way that I've helped you. So I've always made that my duty to be a mentor to others, to help friends and colleagues, and anyone that's interested in UX, help them get into the field, help them land jobs, give them feedback, information, anything that I can do to lend a helping hand. I hang my hat on that today, being able to do that for everyone. And to me, that's leadership, being able to lead anyone that's willing to accept your help. So with that, I encourage anyone that's listening, whether you're a UX professional that's already in the business, already in the field, be open to mentorship, be open to helping others, because I really do feel like UX research is one of the best fields, and it's easily one of the best decisions that I've made in my life. And I have some tips. One, I tell people to aim for entry level positions. That's the first step, just to get into the door. When I worked with James, I worked under James. That was not my dream job, but it got me in the door. It helped me learn what UX was that catapulted the rest of my career. So first thing you do, aim for some entry level positions. Tailor your resume. Understand the skills and responsibilities of the job. Make sure that your resume is highlighted, that you can tailor your resume, because you probably have experience that you don't know about. So for me, for example, my soft skills are off the charts. I was able to put that into my resume, and recruiters and hiring managers saw the way that my resume was tailored. They made them want to give me a call and have a conversation where I could sell myself. Next, highlight your transferable skills. Be able to explain the skills that you have. Like I said, my soft skills were off the charts. Being a journalist, I knew how to interview. I knew how to have conversations. I knew how to go out in the field and do field work. So it made sense having the same skill set from journalism to be able to transition into UX. It was a perfect fit. Next, emphasize your education, extracurriculars. So for me, education, being a psychology major, but then also going to take additional courses for like a General Assembly where I learn even more about UX. Then also being in journalism, being a writer, having website experience and knowing how to code and knowing the back end of websites and being able to design. These are all things that I was able to discuss with people and let them know that, hey, I'm absolutely a fit for this field that's new to me called UX. 5, build your experience by interning, volunteering, and doing it yourself. Going back to my time with James, this is exactly what I did. I wasn't afraid to just start from the beginning and humble myself, even though I was successful as a music journalist. I was able to humble myself, be an intern, volunteer, help work under him until he was able to help me figure out how to do it myself and actually get into UX on a corporate level. But don't be afraid to start over, to build your skills as an intern and volunteer. 6, build your network. Oddly enough, like I explained in my story, my network at that time was built with rappers, where Trey was a rapper. He introduced me to James, who was a rapper. But we are at one point and now we're always going to be. Because in the case of James, he started off as a rapper, but now he's a principal UX lead at some major company in UX. And he was able to help me build my network. So now I have a network of industry professionals and hiring managers and design leads and people all throughout UX now. And it's been an amazing experience to say that I started from journalism. Now next, take courses to build your in-demand skills. Exactly what I did. So like I said, went to General Assembly, also took some courses at Coursera, Udemy. Google offers classes, LinkedIn they offer classes for in-demand skills, things that you can just at a click of a button with the internet, you'll be able to learn skills and improve yourself on fields and skill sets that you probably need help on. So definitely take these courses to be able to build your skills up to get into UX in any field, actually. And number 8, continue to grow, continue to evolve. Like never stop learning, never stop growing. And this kind of leads me to an interesting story. I was on Nelson Norman earlier last month. And so I read the article, and the article was about AI, artificial intelligence. And the article was basically saying researchers need to watch out because AI is here, AI is coming, AI is going to take over the industry, and researchers are probably going to be in trouble. And this article just made me sweat, made me nervous. Like, oh my gosh, AI is about to take over everything. And I got to the bottom, the end of the story, and it said, April Fools. So the whole article was a joke. So, but at the same time, it also made me aware that okay, I still need to work on my skill set. I still need to make sure that I'm growing and I'm taking classes. I'm making sure that my skills are sharp and that I'm expanding and growing. Even though I'm a senior UX researcher, that doesn't mean that I can't stop getting better and perfecting myself and learning new skills. So that's my final tip to anyone that's in the field, anyone that's looking to get into the field, continue to grow and continue to learn and evolve. And at the end of the day, keep going. And I say that again because I started out wanting to get into UX, not knowing what UX really was. And I just took the time to work and grow, and I just kept going. Made mistakes in my career. I've been through ups and downs, but to start where I started at to be where I'm at right now, hopefully I was able to inspire someone because I came into UX. I looked up to, like I said, I looked up to James. He was my mentor, and I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be like a senior researcher, and that was one of my goals. So I know when I started at US Bank, I was hired on as a contractor. So they said you start the contract 4 months. If everything goes well, hire you full time. So I worked as hard as I could for those 4 months. End of the 4 months, they were ready to hire me on full time as a full time employee, and so they hired me on. And hiring me on, my manager says, "Okay, Randy, now you're here now. Let's work on your year annual goals." And I said, "Okay, first goal, the first thing I'm going to work on, I want to work on being a senior UX researcher." The manager says, "I hired you at a 15. You're already a senior researcher." Um, I, I I just didn't understand what she was saying. I was like, a 15, I don't know what that means. But she says, you've shown that you understand UX to the point you've been able to manage your teams well, independently. You're doing an amazing job here at US Bank, and we hired you on as a senior UX researcher. And so that really that made me kind of emotional, just to be able to see where I started from, to wanting to know UX, the time that I spent learning UX, the time that I spent with James, the time that I spent in my career at Randstad and UPS to accomplish that goal of being a senior UX researcher. It's been an amazing journey. And that's my final tip to everyone. Like, again, just keep going, whatever you're going through, as long as you stay the course, things will work out for you. So anyone feel free to reach out to me at any point. Those are my tips for, like I said, for professionals that are in the business, for people that want to get into UX. Just keep going. Don't stop. Good luck. All right, Alan. Can you hear me? I don't think I'm able to hear you, Alan. And let me stop.
Okay, how about now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so I've done that a couple times. My fancy microphone sometimes cuts out, and I'm getting all excited after a session, and you know, but that was wonderful. You certainly inspired me. Now, keep going. Is that tip number 9?
That could be tip number 9, but that's always my tip for anyone, just in any circumstance. Like,
okay,
just keep going.
I mean, the combination of your drive, self-motivation, you're confident, but you don't brag. And like at one point, well, you were talking about your soft skills. You said your soft skills are off the charts. And I love that acknowledgement, because up until then, you hadn't said anything bold like that. Well, you were proud of your skills and accomplishments, but that was the first time I thought, oh yeah, he's kind of bragging, but it doesn't come off that way. So yes, I was very inspired by the the combination of strategies and tactics that you use to do a total pivot from journalist for a hip hop magazine to senior UX researcher.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Like I try to stay as humble as possible.
Okay.
Yes, I try not to brag on myself or people. I'm even like an award-winning UX researcher at this point. I won an award at US Bank. It was a Shield Award, a Silver Shield Award, for the work and the impact that I have on my team.
Okay.
And so it was like wow, like here I am, like winning awards, but it still feels like I'm a novice, like I'm still learning. And I say that too because I've worked with people that have been doing UX for 10, 15, 20 years, and here I am just 5, 6 years, 7 years maybe in.
Yeah.
And I don't have that type of experience that someone else is more senior than me, so I still consider myself a novice.
Okay. Well, and that's a good mindset to maintain no matter where you are in your career. We've all, probably me, you, everybody in attendance, we've worked with people that are finished with learning. They're just not interested in learning anymore. They want to do their jobs. They want to meet the minimum. They want to come in at 9 and go home at 5, and do what they have to do to contribute to stay employed and make it to, I don't know what, retirement. Or so.
Yeah, you
so
always gotta keep learning.
Yeah, it's such a refreshing mindset and energizing to always be learning. And you pivoted at the age of 35?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm 42 now. I know I might not look it, but I'm 42. So
Okay.
yes, at the age of 35, I was able to pivot.
Yeah,
you see all the time.
That impressed me. I wasn't going to ask how old you are now.
Yeah, I put it out there. Yeah,
but that was a self reveal. It's hard to tell with the little icon, but
yeah, Yeah, you know, you see that like the advertisement all the time, and people saying, "Oh, it's not too late to change, and you can make a pivot, and you can do this and get into tech and whatnot." And I listened to those commercials and whatnot, and I decided to try to do it, and I did it. So it's true. You
And it
can make a change. It's never too late.
and it works. So that's
Yes.
very inspiring. I know I'm getting into I'm supposed to be asking you questions, not just agreeing with you, but
No. Yeah.
so
No. Feel
so
free.
let me start with um so I started my career as a technical writer,
Okay.
and it's similar to UX in that people come from all different kinds of backgrounds. There are people that are English majors. There are people that are like former tech workers, former computer science, you know, majors or graduates. There are people with no English background at all who are just good writers,
Mhm.
and there are people with tech writing degrees. And sometimes the people with the tech writing degrees, the credentials, kind of look down on the people that came into the career through self-motivation and self-training. And so my question is, do you work with any people that have PhDs in human computer interaction, and is the working relationship good, and do you have to do anything to anything extra
Mhm.
to sell your capabilities to somebody who has, the degree from the right university, the right degree from the right university,
Right. Yeah.
who's working alongside you?
Right. I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you're saying. So not at US Bank, but in previous roles, I had some other coworkers, maybe seniors or managers that had college, grad schools, and masters and PhDs, and they would frown upon someone like me who doesn't have any of those things. But for me, it's just being able to find my niche and finding my contribution to the team that might be able to add a value to the team. So, for example, when I came to US Bank, after being at UPS, we use user Zoom frequently at UPS. But when I got to US Bank, user Zoom, the tool, the software, it was still new to the team at US Bank. And so when I came in, I was like, okay, you guys need help getting, figuring out how to use user Zoom. Let me be a key person in that.
Okay.
That was my major contribution to the team, fresh out of the gate, starting at US Bank. And so it was a value. Like I became the user Zoom guy. They didn't
Okay.
know what to do until I started being the one that helped the whole team use this new software. And just being a value, just not worrying about the degrees, because at the end of the day, we all are values to the team. We just got to find our space and our roles in that.
Okay. And you had initiative, you looked for opportunities where you can help the team, and you took those opportunities. You offered
Yes.
yourself as somebody who could help and solve problems, and you
Yes,
did. So
absolutely. Yes. And even I've been able to mentor people that are PhDs and have masters. I've been able to mentor them and help them figure out what they need to do to get into UX, or what they need to do once they're at these organizations. So I'm still a value, even though I don't have a grad school experience, but still a value to teams and to the field in general.
okay, to mentor a PhD is pretty impressive.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, thanks.
So,
Yeah.
and I was going to ask, I think you've answered this. Are you mentoring now?
I am mentoring now. I probably mentor maybe two or three people currently that I'm mentoring, and just helping them with their portfolios, for example, or just with the do's and don'ts for UX. Um, like I said earlier, it's something that I hang my head on. If anyone comes knocking on my door or sending me a message, I'm gonna do what I can to help, and I'm just constantly mentoring individuals all the time.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
love the Karate Kid analogy, and how James said, "There's a lot we need to know." and
Yes.
you spent a year and a half with James.
Right, I did, yeah. Because after 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like, okay, it's time. It's time for me to put my resume out there and get a job on a corporate. Like, no, wait, you're not ready. So,
Okay.
but he's a great guy. I actually called him and told him like, hey, I got hired as a senior. I'm actually a senior and I'm a VP now. And he's like, man, that's the best news I like heard like forever. So he's still a mentor to me, a major part of my life, and I'm very grateful for the time that I spent under his mentorship.
Okay, great. And we do have some questions coming into the chat from
Okay.
the audience, and I encourage people in the audience to continue to pose questions. Our first one from Anissa. I apologize if I mispronounced your name, but it's a good question. If you are changing
Okay.
careers, should you be open to any area of UX where you can find opportunity, or should you be specific in the direction you want to go? Like, do you want to go to research or design or writing? But do you have any reaction to that, Randy?
That's a good question. I would say be open to all sides of UX, whether it's research, design, whether it's writing, because you can always start to get a role, let's say in research, and you get later on decide that, hey, I think I want to do design, and you can change. You can take what you learn from UX research, go over to design, or you can go over to writing. It's all inclusive when you get into the UX field. It's all relative to the experience of the user.
Okay, and I think at least two things you said earlier may apply. There was the idea, and you said it better than I will, of figuring out how your existing skills apply to the new opportunities that
Right.
you're pursuing.
Absolutely.
And then adjusting your resume, or adjusting, if it's not a resume, adjusting your pitch for what
Right.
you're pursuing. So,
Right.
so I could see I could see the same person going after a research position or design position or a writing position and just positioning themselves
Yes.
appropriately, making
And
the argument that they have the skills.
going even deeper to it. So Nisa, going back to James actually was considered a unicorn in UX, and that means he knew how to research, he knew how to design, and he knew how to code. So when I was working under him, I inspired to be that unicorn too, and know how to research, design, and code. I started wanting to do all of it.
Okay.
And he taught me how to design. So right, and I can open up Figma or Sketch or one of these design tools and actually start to design. I can do that, but after getting into UX and research, just being a researcher, I don't want to do that anymore. So you could always have the skill set if you want to, and you make a change if you want to at any time. But I would say just go ahead and find one direction of UX to get yourself into the door, get yourself into the buildings, and then if you want to change and grow from there, you have the open opportunity to do that at that point.
Okay, great. Anissa, thank you so much. Do we have any other questions for Randy? Okay, Randy, do you have any parting words? We can wrap up if you'd like.
We can wrap up, but again, just thank you all for the opportunity to be here to speak at Convey UX. If someone would have told me, like I said earlier, if someone would have told me that one day I'd be speaking at a UX conference, I would have been saying a what conference. So it's amazing for me to be here, to be on this platform and to share my experience with you all. So thank you again.
Yes. Oh, and I wanted to mention, the Google, you mentioned the Google courses, which I believe are free.
So I didn't take the Google courses myself, but I've had some people that I've mentored that they're taking and they took the Google courses.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they're free or not, but I know that Google, they also offer.
And my understanding of the Google courses is that Google didn't think that U.S. universities and colleges are turning out enough UX people. They want more UX people. They want them faster. You can take a Google course and get your foot in the door. So
yeah, exactly.
So I kind of stomped on your goodbye, but that was a point like I wanted to come back to, because Google offering those courses is a statement of that there are opportunities for career changers to get into UX.
Absolutely.
And they're offering the path.
Yes, absolutely. So. But yes, again, Alan, thank you again. Convey UX. Thank you again, everyone that's in attendance, listening to me ramble about my career and my achievements. Thank you all for being here. I'm super appreciated. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, Randy Roper. You can find me, send me a message. We can talk and network from there.
Okay, Randy, thank you so much for the inspiring, insightful talk, and I hope to talk to you down the road.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
Yes, take
All
care
right.
all.
All right. Bye.